Let's move along to Prince Harry and Meghan and their goal of having a quiet life away from media intrusion. Sadly, that's taken another hit after the formerly royal couple posed for photos to feature in Time magazine's Most Influential People edition. Apparently lying about your family to Oprah makes you wildly influential, Sophie. I don't understand this, but wasn't the whole reason they abandoned the royal family was so they could have some privacy and live their lives away from the glare of the cameras? Explain this latest photo shoot, Sophie.
Rita, I can't explain it. I mean, their privacy's been breached yet again. This toxic duo love their heads in the media. They're constantly mouthing off, lecturing to people what they can and cannot do. We saw that sit down with Oprah, which was just awful to watch. We've seen them dictating for things such as on climate change. Then we see Harry jump on a private jet from Aspen to California. I mean, this hypocrisy from them just is ridiculous. And I think this couple have no credibility. I'm sick and tired of hearing from them. And I really wish they went to America and just lived a quiet, happy life and left us all alone.
Well, I agree with you. Gideon, any comments on Harry and Meg's, or should we just forget about them and move on?
Look, they want to be forgotten about, Rita. They want their privacy. They want to live as normal citizens. That's exactly why anybody would agree to a Netflix reality TV show and a tell-all with Oprah Winfrey. I think we should respect their privacy. Look, I think sadly they are among the most influential people in the world, and they're influential because they're the archetypal millennial influencers. They're a product of, sadly, my generation. They are the epitome of the whiny, entitled, perennially purporting to be a victim, perennially obsessed with race. These people are the influencers of the 21st century, and that's exactly why people hate them so much.
Well, certainly in the UK, their popularity has absolutely plummeted. Now, let's move to the US with this incident, which I'm sure you've already seen today, but let's just have another look at Joe Biden fumbling. He was there. He only had two names to remember, Boris Johnson and Scott Morrison. That's all he had to remember, announcing this new trilateral military partnership, this significant move. And he couldn't even manage to remember those two names. Let's see what happened.
And I want to thank that fellow down under. Thank you very much, pal. Appreciate it, Mr. Prime Minister.
Pal, really. Gideon, is this man fit for office?
Rita, of course he's not fit for office. You know it, I know it. His supporters in their hearts of hearts know it. But don't you love this story? It's the perfect intersection of Joe Biden's mental frailty and Scott Morrison's blandness. You know, everybody said, made a meal of the fact that Trump put on a state dinner for Scott Morrison and everything else. At least Trump could remember Scott Morrison's name, which was more than you could put to Joe Biden. But the problem with Biden is, okay, so what? Say he resigns tomorrow. Who do we get then? Kamala Harris? And if not her, then it's Nancy Pelosi. I don't think any of those options are any better. Our only hope is to just wait and bide our time.
Lucid. I mean, at least Kamala's not very popular even amongst Democrats, but at least, you know, she can remember the Prime Minister's name. I mean, two names you have to remember in that.
Barely, Rita. Look, our only hope is to wait until Donald Trump takes office again on the 20th of January 2025. I can't wait.
Oh, well, I mean, if that happens, we'll have to pull out this tape because you'll be the first one to have predicted it. Now, I just want to quickly touch on this fantastic piece that was in the Wall Street Journal today on how to deter China from invading Taiwan. It was written by a former National Security Advisor and White House Chief of Staff, and the piece read, "The fall of Afghanistan and the chaotic American withdrawal have been a propaganda windfall for autocrats across the world. Nowhere has the perception of American weakness been more trumpeted than in China." Gideon, I'll start with you. I mean, this spells terrible news for Taiwan. Should the US and her allies provide Taiwan with the necessary arsenal, including naval strike missiles, to discourage China from invading?
Yes, absolutely, they should. Now, whether the US has the fortitude and the resolve to do that remains to be seen. As you said, the Afghanistan humiliation. I don't think I've ever seen the US weaker and more vulnerable and in a more precarious position in my entire life. And I lived through September 11. As Ronald Reagan said, peace through strength, and that's frankly what I haven't always been so enamored with Scott Morrison's record and the way in which he's governing, but I have to say the announcement today, to the extent at which it resets this idiotic French submarine deal that Malcolm Turnbull locked us into, I think that's exactly what Australia needs: peace through strength. And as Donald Trump knew, yet again, it relies on us bolstering and building up our military to meet growing authoritarian power with clear territorial ambitions.
Yes, and I don't think China reacts well to weakness or appeasement. They react to strength. Now, Sophie, I've got to ask you about this. The AFL, well, fever is hitting fever pitch. We've got two Victorian sides heading to Perth for the grand final. The clash between the Demons and Bulldogs promises to be a great one, but tonight also marks an important milestone. It's the 25th anniversary of the infamous Melbourne-Hawthorn merger vote, where the Demons voted to merge and the Hawks, well, saved both clubs, really. They saved both Hawthorn and Melbourne by rejecting the merger night. Sophie, I want to ask you firstly for your tip for the grand final, but also should Hawthorn supporters, I'm not naming anybody, should we really be getting some credit this week if the Demons win? Because there would be no Demons if it weren't for the Hawks saving the day and stopping this bloody merger.
Well, Rita, I'm a Carlton supporter, sadly, so I'm not used to winning anything for years, but I'm all D's. We haven't seen the D's win a premiership for, 57 years, I think it is. So I'm really hopeful that they come across the line, and particularly for Neil Danaher, who's been instrumental at the club in recent years with his fight, with his health battle. But yes, this was a good thing that these two clubs didn't merge. Remember that night clearly. It was a historic night. And it's great to see Melbourne, who were down at the bottom of the ladder for so long and a very troubled club, to have a shot at the flag. But the sad part of this story is that we have two Melbourne teams over the other side of the country and no one can get there to watch it. So that's the disappointing part of this.
Well, that is true. That's particularly for D's fans who've had to wait, Gideon, for so long for this day. It's obviously going to be bittersweet. They want to win the premiership, but they want to be there to experience it.
Yeah, and I thought that myself. I've been thinking that for a little while now. These poor people have been waiting since the 60s, for God's sake, to see their team enter the grand final, and they can't even see it. But look, I think it'll be irrelevant. I think the Bulldogs will win this over the weekend. And the question for me is what I drink while watching the game. Last year, in honour of us in Victoria losing the grand final to Queensland, I drank Bundaberg rum. So I don't know, this year something from WA, maybe Colonial beer.
Swan. Well, they've got that. Yeah, they've got beautiful wines. They've got beautiful wines.
Margaret River Rhine, yep.
Gideon Rosner, Sophie Elsworth, thank you for joining us tonight.
Great. Thanks, guys.